On today's episode, we talk about OpenClaw versus co-work. We talk about agents and agentic workflows, and we talk about token usage and which ones to use and how to set it up. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome to the AI Lab Unfiltered podcast. I am your host, Drew Veach from BizStream. I am joined by Mr. Pete Terryn from NuWave.
Good morning. Thank you, Drew, for having me on your podcast.
I'm glad you could make it in.
Thanks, buddy.
First, I just want to thank Think Tank Thought Leadership. They help us produce the show. They help us put everything together. We're in this beautiful studio down at the Bamboo offices. They put together everything for us. They handle all of the editing, all of the shooting, all of this stuff, all the technical details. They help us put together this entire podcast, even from the name on down. Just help us carry out our vision, which is awesome. So big shout out to them. What's your tagline?
If you want to be cool, have a podcast. If you're going to do a podcast, do it with Think Tank Thought Leadership.
There you go.
Here we go.
So I want to talk today about, we're going to do kind of a shorter one, but I want to talk about AI agents.
Everybody's like, good. Short.
Good. It's not a 90-minute epic.
Hang in there, folks.
So let's talk about, we were talking about OpenClaw before. We were just talking about that before we started the show. We talked about OpenClaw and using different agents. We talked about Claude Cowork, which I'm a huge proponent of. And you're definitely becoming.
I'm working my way there.
And the reason is because you have had, or you've got OpenClaw working. You started using it. You started building some tools with it.
Yep.
Seems to work, but it seems to be kind of clunky. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of time you put into it.
A lot of time.
I told you I had to have been at least 12 hours just setting it up to get it to work right. There were so many issues trying to get it to connect to Telegram or WhatsApp in the beginning. I spent hours and hours and hours. And in the meantime, I thought, well, we've got a business plan for co-work. I might as well just try that. Within 10 minutes, I had it up and running and understanding how to use it already.
Yep.
And started prompting it. Within an hour and a half, I edited down a video. I built an extensive multi-tab, multicolored spreadsheet. And I also wrote an article. Like within an hour and a half of me going, what's this co-work, all the way up to, I've got these apps. I remember texting you going, I can't freaking believe how quick this was. And that kind of started changing your mind a little bit too. And I never touched OpenClaw since, to be honest. I never went back. I set it all up on a virtual server and I never touched it.
I remember that conversation. It was very disheartening for me because I was like trying at that point.
You were all in on OpenClaw.
I was all in, and I was trying to get everyone else all in. I got the owners of NuWave to set up theirs, recommending it to everybody. We talked about it here on the podcast. And I'm not anti OpenClaw, but unless you really want to learn how agentic AI works, and you really want to get into the nuts and bolts of it and the layers and how the different, like OpenClaw is a collection of files that work together. And there's like a soul file where you give your agent its personality.
Yep.
Then there's memory, and there's these different functions, skills, which I know is a Claude thing.
Yep.
But it doesn't just work. And it feels like what you described to me when you're using Claude Cowork, it just works. With OpenClaw, you have to, I don't know, it's a much higher barrier to entry, much steeper learning curve. I'm still sticking with it because I'm starting to break through, but I find myself like still in the kind of the building the basement, the foundation of the house. And if it just sounds like when you're work with Claude, like the foundation's already built. Now you're doing things like window treatments and like,
Drapes.
Like that kind of stuff. So there are other people that I know that we both know. We had Cody Ford, we had Andy Bass in here. They're both using it and they're having success with it, but they're also like brilliant. and I'm
Right.
dumb. But I love this stuff so much that I'm willing to take the time to try to, break through, and I'm really trying to learn about it. But
And you don't have a developer like me. You don't have a developer background. Those
Not at
guys
all.
actually do, so they know code through and through.
yeah,
So they know exactly how it's working. And that was one of the takes at my company. I am not the developer. I'm the business development guy, and that's about as far as development as I get.
mm-hmm.
And I'm having developers come up to me going, well, how did you edit those? Like, what was it using to edit those videos? And I'm literally like, fuck if I know. It just did it.
I remember asking you when you told me that you did that. I'm like, well, how did it do it? And you're like, I don't know.
I have no idea. I just said, and I just typed it in. Hey, I need you to edit this video down. Go to YouTube. Go find an episode.
What
it
if
was
they-
actually for our AI lab just to see if we could do an edit of it. And it just ran the whole thing. And then it took about 2 hours for it to run. And I came back to it, and here's my file right on my desktop. That was it.
I just had a wild thought. What if Claude just went to like Fiverr and hired some people in the Philippines to edit that video?
probably
and
was.
Send it back. You're like, I don't know
It's
how
so
it did
simple.
it. It just did it.
It cost me 8 million tokens.
Have you heard about? There's a whole market now. There's websites now where AI agents can hire people to do things. It's called like the meat layer, or like one of them has the word meat in it or something like that.
MEET or MEAT.
Like we're
Great.
humans are going to become the meat puppets of AI agents as we move forward.
But that doesn't surprise me, because if you look at even simple stuff like what's the shopping app?
Shopify.
Oh, not that. Not, a little bit simple.
Could you be more
Like where you get
specific?
your groceries,
Oh, Instacart.
Instacart. I mean, that you're using technology to then build a cart to pick out your stuff,
Yep,
and then a human actually goes and delivers it.
absolutely.
So that human in the loop, just in a different sense of, there is a physicality part to it that the robots aren't, quote unquote, up to speed on yet,
Yep.
that they're doing. That, yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense.
I mean, it's Uber is the same thing, right? Until the cars are fully autonomous, you're
Which are already coming out in major cities.
hiring meat to drive a car to you.
Meat.
Will take you places. But when you start, and that's the cool thing about it, and that's why we're interested in doing this, is you start to think about, like, my AI agent can get me groceries delivered to my house. If my AI agent can plan a date night with my wife
Right.
and pre-order the Uber, that it shows up, it knows our reservation's at 8, so the Uber shows up at 7, and it makes the reservation, and it does all that for you. And you just have to say to your agent, like, plan a date night. And it knows your calendar, it knows your wife's calendar, it knows
Yeah.
where you like to eat, and it knows you're going to be drinking, so it's going to order the Uber for you. Like that's why we're doing these things, because the promise of getting to that level of just like ease of
That automation.
just taking some of that cognitive load, which I know we're going to talk about that here too. There's downsides to that, but removing that cognitive load so that you can spend more time watching YouTube videos or
Right. Watching your live body cam police department videos. Oh, your angry Karen videos on YouTube, like I do.
like you do.
Since, and I'm a huge proponent of OpenAI and using Amber, my OpenAI chatbot, I haven't touched that in probably weeks at this point, because I wouldn't say I fully switched over to Claude, but I have used Claude so much more.
I was
Now,
not expecting that.
I know most people I'd say, they're like, what? It's different. You can't talk to it and have it talk back. It doesn't have that chat feature, like literally the voice feature
Yeah.
that at least at this point, that OpenAI does. I do have a voice feature that I can talk to it, where I literally just press 2 keys,
Yep.
and it's called Whisper Flow.
Yep.
And it'll punch in any text box is really what it's for. It's just it's like a talk to text type of thing. But when I started using Cowork, we started talking about skills, because I know in OpenClaw, don't you have to add manually the skill to it? Like, how does that work?
That
with
is
a
one way. Yep. So there's a website that you can go to. It's clawhub.ai, and there are all these community created skills. Some of them by the guy Peter Steinberger that created OpenClaw, and it says who made it, so you can see the ones that he did. But then their community creates all these other ones, and they upload them, and there's a description of what it does. Like an example would be a skill that will take a YouTube video, it will capture the transcript, and it'll take screenshots of the video so that it has all that data, and it will ingest that. Like that's a skill.
Yeah.
OpenClaw will not do that natively. If you said to your OpenClaw, hey, go do that, it might say, okay, I'm going to try, and it might even build the skill on its own so that it can do it. So there's you either go get one off the web, which can be dangerous just for anybody that might try that.
Security-wise.
Just know that there are known skills that have been published that have malware in them.
Yeah.
So my preference is I used to do that. I've actually wiped my OpenClaw twice and started over again. And since the second wipe, I have not downloaded any published skills. What I do is I say to OpenClaw, build a skill that does this. And then it will go and figure out how to do that. And then I don't have to worry about malware. But I can also make it exactly how I want it.
So it's not pulling from a source to
Nope.
go, oh, well, I can pull it from here. It's saying, okay, I'll build it line by line myself.
Yep.
And it computes it. And
sometimes it'll install software that it needs to be able to do that. And again, it's more arduous to do it that way. Like I'm sure that's not the way that it happens. Like Claude has a shit ton of skills too. And I think that OpenClaw just stole the skills, idea.
in Claude, Cowork specifically, you can actually go in and find skills that it has published and load those in, or do what I do and not do that and just figure it out. Yeah. It's literally output based. I'm not telling it what to do. I'm just telling this is what I want. I want you to go in, like when I did the video edit, I want you to go in to the AI Lab Unfiltered podcast on YouTube, find the most recent episode, and I want you to edit it down into a 6-minute version. That's all I told it. I didn't even tell it I owned the video, which was kind of shocking where it did it all on its own. And if I tell it to pull a transcript, it'll pull a transcript. If I tell it to edit it a certain way, it'll edit a certain way. Like it handled everything. Now it takes some time. So it's a set it, forget it type of thing. It took a couple hours. I think it took about 3 hours for the first one. But you can see it if you actually watch it. It'll say building the skill. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try a workaround. Let me try this. Let me try this. Oh, here's your video. And I was like, awesome. Can you just save it to my desktop? Sure. Allow me access. And it'll get to a certain point where then it'll have a prompt saying, you need to allow me access to your browser, or you need to allow me access to your desktop or to this file folder or whatnot. And I literally, okay. And then it just keeps going.
What you just described is exactly why I no longer tell people to use OpenClaw. And I don't know if I have anybody left in my life that I would say that I would recommend it to, because the really smart people that we've met through.
You make it sound like you have no friends. I have nobody left in my life that I would recommend this to.
Well, I lost them all because nobody wants to talk about AI. And that's all I want to talk about.
Oh, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I had to come here to see my one friend. But what you just described is how it should work. This is the promise of AI and agentic AI, is it should just be able to go figure it out. If I did that same thing with OpenClaw, I would get similar responses like, hey, I'm going to go build this thing. But just the browse, like, here's a perfect example. And I was just working on this again yesterday. This is my third attempt to get the YouTube scraping skill working. And each time it doesn't say, just give me permission to use your browser. It's like, hey, I'm getting blocked because YouTube doesn't allow bots to go scrape the site. So we need to get cookies out of your browser, and I need to store them so I can enter those cookies in when I go to the YouTube page. And it's just a pain in the ass.
There's manual steps to it.
Yeah, and I'm stuck having to figure this out. And I don't mind. Like, I've got my OpenClaw like off to the side, so I'm feeding it random commands throughout the day while I'm doing my other work. And then when I'm watching March Madness, I'm got my laptop on my lap, and I'm just kind of chugging along. It's taking way longer than it should, but I am learning a lot along the way. I don't know how much longer I want to learn. Like, I want to get to the point where I can fucking do something.
Yeah, output some stuff.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I guess when we were talking at lunch yesterday, like I'm inching closer and closer to just ditching it. But I have the sunk cost fallacy thing going on where now I know I've spent over 100 hours on OpenClaw. I know I have. So now I've got this big investment, but I could probably do the same thing in 25 minutes if I want to recreate the whole thing in 20 minutes and then be on my way.
I have had that issue where it says I can't do this because of special permissions or whatnot in Cowork. I literally told it once, figure it out. And it took another probably 45 minutes, and it did. So it was an interesting where it was like, because it said, finding a workaround. Well, that didn't work. Well, that didn't work. That didn't work. Oh, this works. I'll do this. And it made a more manual for itself string. But I literally, again, didn't touch it for another 45 minutes. And then here's my output.
I am going to try that. So I know I'm going to be working on it tomorrow and throughout the weekend. So I am going to do that. Because I'm literally at a point because I've got multiple kind of chats going on, so I have separate things all going on at the same time. Because I'll say for the listeners, if you are going to use OpenClaw or are using it and you don't have separate chats created and you're just asking it to do something and then you're waiting for it to get done before you can do the next thing, there's a way better way to do it. Just create multiple. In Telegram, you would create different groups and invite your agent to those different groups. So I have like a main chat where I just go to and I'm just kind of, if I need it to do something.
Yeah.
But if I have something that takes longer to do, I go to a different group. Still the same access, still the same chat, but it recognizes that as a completely different instance. And
so here's your new task.
Yeah, exactly. So I can be hitting the model from multiple groups at the same time, but they don't overlap. Like there's no crosstalk.
Yeah.
So it keeps them completely separate.
I do that in Cowork. I hit new task or new chat. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's new task at the top, and it just opens up another one.
Built in. God damn it.
Shoves the other one down, and it has a little blue dot showing this one's still working, because I ended up doing that, and I built a whole spreadsheet for sales, and it did an incredible job. Color coded it, which I never would have thought of, categorized it, multi-tab. I mean, it was an incredible spreadsheet. It probably saved me 2 weeks worth of time. It was and I can update it at any point going, let's do a different client or a different prospect or a different use case. And it started building that. And then a couple nights ago, a few weeks ago, when March Madness was coming out, we have a big pool at work of through ESPN, the whole, pick your brackets, that type of thing. I don't know shit about basketball. I really don't. I'm not a sports guy, but I sure as hell want to win this poll so I can have some this pool so I can have some bragging rights. So I literally went in. I'm like, I got to figure out how to pick all that. Well, last year I used AI to pick my bracket. So I started going, I said, all right, well, pick what brackets so I know what to enter into my ESPN account. And then I got probably 2 sentences into writing the prompt. I go, why the frick am I doing this? I'll just have it do it itself. So I switched over to Cowork and I said, go to my ESPN account. I think I may have already been logged in, because you asked me, well, how did it log in? Mm-hmm. I think I might have already had it logged in, that I was looking at it on my browser. And I said, go to my ESPN account, just fill out the brackets, but base it off of best prediction of who will win. And it kicked back and it said, okay, I can do this, but how do you want to kind of categorize the winners? Do you want to do it by best data that's out there of who might win based on data and stats? Do you want to do it by Cinderella upsets? Or do you want to do it by, I just want to frickin' win this pool? And I said, that's me right there.
Bing, we have a winner.
Click that one and said, okie doke. And it took about 35 minutes, and I literally could see it in my browser. And it's picking all the brackets. It picked the score spread on it and everything. Picked all the way down to the winner.
I would love to know, and I want to come back to kind of how it did it. But I'd love to know how many people this year used AI to pick their bracket.
A majority of them at my work. Even people that do know sports is like, I'm just going to have AI do it.
Yeah. I did last year, just because at that point it was still kind of a novel thing. But this year I expected that everyone would. And being the contrarian that I am, I didn't. I picked my own, but I did create that, my March Madness assistant that I was telling you about.
Yeah.
But so do you think, so you said you may have been already logged into your ESPN account.
Yeah.
I'm wondering now.
But it will ask, it will say, because it's desktop browser based, it'll say, I don't have credentials. Can you log in or allow me access to it? Yup. But I don't know where it's pulling like the username, password. Because when you brought that up, I'm like, oh, I don't really know where that's grabbing it. But
yeah, anyone listening to this is like, you guys are idiots. This thing has all your passwords, and
my IT security guy's going, no.
But I want to figure that out, because it just dawned on me as we're sitting here that it might be doing, because it has computer use.
Right.
Claude does, which for listeners means that it can literally go and, instead of using an API to reach different sites, it can actually go and it will, like on the screen, it will move the pointer over and it'll click on the button. That's computer use. So I'm wondering if it's doing that, because my OpenClaw has its own like headless browser built in, and that's what it keeps trying to use. And I think that's why it keeps running into these bot issues. There are ways to get it to use an actual browser, but it's really cumbersome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like it wants to do this Chrome tab pass through where you have to use Chrome, you have to use a what do they call them in the browser? An extension. You have to get an extension through Chrome that's built for OpenClaw to then pass a token from a PC that always has to be on to that tab in order for it to be able to control that tab in that browser. I'm like, fuck that.
That's what it does with Claude, though. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah, but you just said do it, and it does it.
Yeah. Once I have that set up, and I did that once way in the beginning.
Oh wait, okay.
So you do have to have Claude for Chrome extension.
Okay, we have not talked about that. Okay,
Yeah.
so now
You turn that
I don't
on.
feel quite so bad. So let's back up.
You turn that on, and then it'll work browser-based in the tabs, because you'll see the tabs open up. It'll create its own group of tabs, and it'll go through. So I'm guessing that's what it's doing, because it can control that. And when it goes to there, my autofill password probably fills it in.
Do you always have to have a machine on for that to work?
Right now, yes. You have to, because they even came out with Dispatch, where you can use your phone to talk to Claude to run programs kind of remotely. And it's literally like a remote control at that point, because it runs to your laptop, and it'll keep your laptop going and running off of your laptop. It's not through the cloud yet.
So I don't feel, I knew,
give it a couple weeks
for Dispatch. Exactly. I knew for Dispatch you had to have it on, but now I feel way better about this Chrome tab thing.
Yeah.
Because I thought, this feels, oddly enough, it felt barbaric in the age of agentic AI, that I had to do all these things and leave my home PC on so I could tunnel through and do this. But okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, that's how it does it. But I still think it's a lot faster through Claude versus OpenClaw.
Well,
because you're telling me
it's less than 8 days, then yes.
Yeah, because some of the stuff that you were telling me you were doing, hey, I got it to do this. I'm like, oh, I just did that 2 minutes ago, and mine's done.
I am easily spending 10 times more time doing things in OpenClaw than you are doing those same things in Claude.
Yeah, and I bet you're spending a hell of a lot more tokens too.
Yeah, and
I would bet you are.
I'm burning a fair amount of tokens. That's actually kind of the fun part for me is like researching ways that people are reducing token burn. Are there? I'm assuming that there are token limits in Claude. Like, do you bump up against like, hey, Drew, time to swipe your credit card again because you need to re-up your credits? Are you running into that with Claude?
Yes, I'm on a business plan, but same type of thing. When I first got onto it, because there's like 3 different levels of business plan we have. I first got onto it. I ran a couple things, and it's like, oh, sorry, you just ran out of tokens. And I was like, shit, now what? Mm-hmm. So I talked to my IT guy, and he put me on the premium one. Yep. And then there's a level even after that. I'm still, I think, on the middle level. And it I don't know, I have like $1 million a month now. Now I got plenty. I'm not coding a website or anything like that. So I've got plenty just to pick my sports brackets and stuff like that. But you definitely will hit a limit depending on what model you're using too. That's, I think, a
Yes.
bigger difference too, where I'll go into like Opus 4.6, which is their big premium model.
Yep.
That'll burn a lot of tokens in and out. Everything you put in burns tokens. Everything outputs burns tokens. And I will use Opus for deeper research and usually a setup of a task.
Yep.
If it's not just a simple task, if it's a simple task, I might use a different, but if it's a little bit more complex, I might start with that one. And then as I'm going through, if I have to prompt it with anything else, I might switch it or say, can you switch to a lower model?
Yep.
Like Sonnet or something like that, which burns way less tokens.
And that is, it's interesting. There's a lot of, we are actually helping. This is helping me. So thank you for this little therapy session.
I'm glad you could be on here.
But
Glad you could be part of this podcast.
that's another parallel too, because that's the same thing in OpenClaw is for people who are thinking about doing anything agentic. The higher level model, which Opus 4.6, everything I see on Reddit, YouTube is like, that is from an agentic standpoint, that is the best master agent model out there. Another reason to use Claude.
Sure.
But it's not, you don't need that horsepower for, checking a sports score.
Right.
Like, give me the most efficient token to do these little menial tasks, but have the master agent who is way smarter than all the sub agents, kind of controlling everything and directing traffic and like kind of grading their work too, right? So these sub agents come back and say, hey, master agent, I have the sports score for the Yankees game. Is that I wanted the Tigers, dude. Go back and get the Tigers, not the Yankees. And now you've got your master agent is kind of controlling the traffic for you and making the sub agents go back and do the work the right way before it actually delivers the final product. Like that, to me, are you doing anything with like multi-level agent stuff at all?
Not a heavy amount, just because I'll switch during. I might switch the model, like I said earlier, where I might start with one and then end up on another one because I go, the next couple of pieces I need you to do, build me this spreadsheet. I might start with Opus and then, okay, now we're just going to update and add a couple more things in. I might switch it to Sonnet at that point. And I think that's important for our viewers to understand too, because when they're going, I don't know when the heck to switch the model. I think you just have to look at it and try different outputs. Just try a simple task with one and the other and kind of compare what results you get, because they can be very close and they can be very different.
Mm-hmm.
On if it's deep research, if it's I need you to connect to multiple different things, or if it's like you said, I'm just looking up the weather, use a simpler one.
Yep.
If you would tell your grade schooler something, it would be on Sonnet. If you're going to tell like a college level person or higher or professional, you're using a higher one. You're using Opus.
Do you know, is Claude, does it spin up an agent on its own? Like, does it know, hey, I should just create an agent to do this, or do you have to direct it to do it?
Great question. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I really don't know.
The answer to that for OpenClaw is, depending on how you have it set up, you would have to tell it to spin up agents. Like that's what I'm now creating a suite of agents to do things that I know I want it to do on the regular.
Yeah.
But my next level goal is to teach my Melvin, my chief of staff agent. I want to teach Melvin to be able to create and spin up an agent for a specific task that it hasn't done yet. So instead of waiting for me to say, hey, you need a weather checking agent, if I ask Melvin for the weather, and that's not a great example because it could just go to the web and get the weather. I'm trying to think of a better example.
Something that's more complex.
Yeah, if I said, I'll go back to my plan the date night example. If I said, hey, spin up an agent to find a great restaurant in town to take my wife to.
Sure.
If I didn't already have a, find cool places in town to eat agent, it would just kind of create one because it knew that it needed it. It's like, hey, we don't have an expert in that area yet, so let's create one. That's where I want to get to. But that's probably 6 years from now before I got that built at the pace that I'm
Right.
I'm going. But
I would say at this point, for what I have used Claude Cowork for, I have never had to tell it to build an agent. It has literally just done it.
I'm probably overthinking it. And I've spent a lot of time on this particular thought, is that large language models are trained on everything on the internet, anything digital it's trained on, all the books and lectures and all this stuff. So it knows all these things, and if you give it a persona and say, act like a veteran lawyer, trial lawyer,
Yeah.
it will give you responses that would sound like a trial lawyer. But I don't trust that it's actually an expert in that area. So in my head, I'm building expert agents that are trained specifically for that one area of knowledge. And then I'll feel more confident that when it invokes that agent to do something, that it's been specifically trained to be an expert on that thing, not a generalist on all things, if that makes sense.
It does, but how do you know that that is now specific? Your agent that was built to be a specialist, how do you know it's an actual specialist?
Because I actually have this agent built. I have an agent that will test the other agents on their expertise. It's like an assessment agent, and it's learning. And it's been kind of cool to see my little agents grow up over time. Like they keep kind of not self-improving because I'm directing it.
Yeah.
But the assessment agent goes through the other agents and tests them, and then comes back with recommendations for what they should do. So then Melvin's like, hey, it seems like we need to do this with this agent. And it created its own like rubric or grading scale for how much of an expert the agent is. And it's like multi-level. It's like, this agent is a solid level 2. To get it to level 3, we need to do X. Do you want me to do that now? And I'll say yes. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
that's where I've been spending a lot of my time, because I haven't really been able to have it do anything cool, because like I was saying earlier, I'm still like building the foundation to my house.
Right.
And I'm probably way overthinking it, like I do.
Well, someday you'll catch up to it.
Most things. You'll be living on a space station, and I'll be like just still trying to.
You'll know exactly how yours is all built. Your foundation. I'll be like, I don't know. I just did it.
It has all my passwords. I have no idea.
I'm already using it. Well, maybe that's where we'll end it there. But maybe that's where we pick it up next time, is how it's going with some of those agents and how they're being used.
I would be curious the next time we record if I'm still using OpenClaw, because it'd be about a month from now before we record again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I have no idea if I still will be or not.
Maybe, yeah, maybe not. It might be too expensive by then too.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's end it there.
All right.
Awesome. If you are using OpenClaw or if you're using Cowork, let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear what you're building, what your take is on it. Is OpenClaw worth it? Is Cowork worth it? Let's find out in the comments. Leave a comment and let us know. Thanks, everybody.